everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Part 2 Book Club. We are back together in the virtual world. This time we're going to be covering balance in midlife. The ultimate irony of this particular podcast's topic is that we were supposed to record this podcast in the week, and I just absolutely failed at finding any kind of balance, slept through an alarm. Well, I didn't even set an alarm. That's a lie. I didn't even set an alarm, just totally forgot. Despite the fact that right before I went to bed, someone reminded me. So that is an example of how I'm winning at balance. But hi, everyone. Everybody is looking fresh-ish this morning.
Not me.
Weird.
We flipped the dial this time. It's my nighttime. It's their daytime morning. So yeah. So that is. So that is the story of the podcast. It was supposed to happen a number of days ago, and I completely spaced out and forgot, just didn't even show up. So I thought that was an apt segue to asking you guys, this is the question I didn't tell you about, but would you say you're feeling balanced at the moment walking into this podcast? We'll start with Sean.
No. Oh, sorry.
We're starting with Sarah. Straight out the gate.
Go on, Sarah.
I think this is a one-word answer. No.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm really here for the tips today.
I could do with more sleep at the minute because we've established that I don't know how to put a book down at night, no matter what time I have to get up the next day. So that is where I need balance.
Self-discipline is what you're saying.
Yeah. That's the one.
Okay. I've got you. And Alicia, how are you feeling? You feeling balanced? Are you zen?
I'm overbalanced.
And overboard.
Too much good times.
Overbalanced. I went from zero balance to not knowing what to do with all my spare time and lack of structure. You'll know this, Sarah. I had a little freak out. I've had waves, but a little freak out last week. Actually, no, maybe a few days ago. About the fact that questioning what I'm doing with my life and why did I do this, and I screamed at Leon saying, I'm not gonna be a domestic housewife, and he's like, I didn't ask you to. It's like, calm down. So yeah, I feel very balanced and actually very grateful now. When I get over my own self-pity, it's like this is great, just enjoy it, shut up, like stop complaining about having all this spare time. So I'll give you some tips. It's quit your job.
Yeah.
Quit your job. And then freak out about it. Yeah.
I think it's pretty normal. I definitely had the same thing. I think it's actually routine.
Yes, it's routine. Yeah.
Structure. I think, once I lost all structure, I just was like, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
I have all this time and I don't know how to fill it when I'm not super busy. But I am back to work now. And that's been awesome. Really loving the new job, but definitely struggling to rebalance. So yeah, to come back to work and busy job, big job. So I'm feeling really positive, and I'm feeling very zen, and I'm feeling very calm about it all. But there's definitely been a number of peanut butter sandwich dinners, and I think last night I had. What did I have last night? Oh, I had a brie and tomato sandwich for my dinner. So I don't know. I'm not sure I'm 100% cracking the whole, what you put in your body is what you get out.
I feel that's quite good, though, brie and tomato.
Brie and tomato sounds good to me.
It was divine.
Semi-healthy.
We're all like, I'm in.
Yes.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I put a few questions together, but we'll just freeball it. As we usually do. I love that phrase. And really the purpose of this is to, number one, share with each other, because I think what we're all coming to realize is when we get together and have these big questions, we learn a lot about each other, and there's actually stuff we never talk about that we probably should talk about more. So I might start with Alicia, given that you have just you've made a big job change, as in you don't have one, and you're also fresh into middle age, midlife. So how do you reckon your definition of balance has kind of evolved through that period? And where is it today?
I think when I was working my last job, so I've only been a month off, feels like a lot longer actually. To get the balance, really, I needed to rely on trying to build balance into my life when the kids were at school, Leon's at work, I'm at work, and then we commute into London. We had to be so organized ahead of time. And then there's always times where things slip through the cracks, even something as small as getting a call from the school saying Eliza's forgotten her PE shoes. And I'm like, well, I can't, I'm in London, so
Yeah.
what do you want me to do about that? And I think before I used to felt really guilty, got quite upset and just feeling like a shit mum. When actually, in reality, she'll be fine, they'll be fine. If it was such a big deal, they'll have some spares somewhere. So I think it's also just the mindset of thinking not everything is the end of the world. Ultimately, people are going to forget and they'll be okay. And don't beat yourself up. And then I think the other part was building in, I know that I need to do exercise to feel good and to feel that balance. And the times where I've let it slip away and not, and that's, even just a long walk, it doesn't have to be a run. But I think if I don't do any exercise for a long-ish period of time, it really affects my mood. It affects everyone around me. Just low. Yeah, I think I definitely need the boost of endorphins. And then on top of that is the nutrition as well. And it's all stuff that we all know, right? And and then trying to feed yourself and your family and have a meal plan, all of that I think is, you just have to realize or be okay with the fact that if you don't have, or if you don't have time, then there are going to be moments where they're eating packets of noodles, or you're ferrying them to gymnastics and coming back and Lily's like, oh, I just want noodles, and it's not going to kill her to have that, and I just have to stop. You just have to stop feeling guilty. We try and live to these high expectations. I think we just put on our pressure that you put on yourselves and others put on you. But when I look at it, like Leon doesn't, he doesn't say, where's my lovely meal? He never does that. It's all me. It's all me going, I didn't make something. It's not fresh. It's not, or it's all just kind of crap picnic food. And the kids don't really care. So
I think probably are like, oh, a picnic.
Yeah, and like noodles. And then I'm thinking, well, actually, I ate relatively bad food, good food, but also some really terrible food growing up. Lots of McDonald's and lots of KFC. And I'm fine, I think. So I think it's just like, and yeah, now I can spend more time doing it, but it's also a little bit boring just to do that, like just to, service your family. It's like so dull. You need to do stuff for yourself too. I think that's important. And I've spent hours just reading, and actually I'm loving that. I've just started another book now, and it's because of this. I love reading. So
good.
It's good to actually use that time. But anyway, that's me.
Nice.
My balance.
Next, Shani.
What was the question?
How's your
view on balance changed?
How's your definition of balance changed as you've become middle-aged or midlife, whatever?
How has it changed? So I used to go to the gym quite a lot, and I would go to different diet clubs, and I kind of put a lot of my focus on that side of things. But I was always the yo-yo, like most people are. Up and down, up and down, up and down, trying different fads, trying different diets, trying all sorts of different things. And I put a lot of focus into that when I was in my 20s and 30s. And now I'm like, do you know what? As long as I am relatively healthy, like for now, I don't go to the gym at all, but I walk Roman as much as I can, as long as I can within work confines. And also, so 3 times. And for me, because I work at home, and yes, I do have interactions with people constantly through the day because my work is virtual, but it's not the same as face-to-face contact. No matter how much you want it to be, it's not the same as face-to-face contact. So 3 times a week, I take Roman to this field to like run around with other dogs. And then I have that interaction with the adults, the dog mums. And I think just breaking up my day a few days a week with actual face-to-face human interaction that isn't just my husband. But yeah, and now my balance really, from a health point of view, it's as long as I eat relatively healthily and as long as I get out in the fresh air, as Alicia said, even if it's just for a long walk, that for me is quite a good reset for just any kind of I don't know, mental side of things. It is just a good reset, clears my head, gets this boy gets this boy out, and my focus now obviously is a lot on Roman as my Fairchild, and I think he is my balance in a big way. So yeah, I think my focus has shifted as to what I thought was good for me physically and mentally and emotionally has just shifted into, we can't control everything, not everything's going to work, do the things that make you happy.
Good advice.
That's good advice.
Oh,
Sarah's not good at the balance.
I think you guys know I'm not good at balance. How has it changed? I think going back, say, pre-kids, or going back into my, mid-20s, I had like no concept of needing balance. Like it was just like this thing people speak. Did people even speak about it? Like, we're going back sort of 15 years. But I had
Not at our age,
I
anyway.
wasn't trying to find balance. I wasn't feeling overworked or overwhelmed or overstressed or anything like that. And I think like I had kids and, was a stay-at-home mum from, day zero, I've done everything. That I think the whole balance thing sort of kind of like crept up and sort of like hit me in the face around sort of turning 40 when I was like, hold on a second, like I can't sustain the level, then I added the business in 4 years ago as well. I was like, I can't physically, mentally keep going at the level I'm going. And I was like, oh, I need to find this balance thing that, people have spoken about. And when there's just no time in the day, it's like like something has to give. And you end up, like Lee's saying, you end up feeling guilty. Because I think, I don't know if everyone's out there, but I'm sure there's some people out there that would say they haven't thought about themselves for at least a decade and haven't even considered what they want, what they need, what would make, them thrive, because you're just too busy doing that for everyone else. So it's been some like really hard questions, I think, sort of like asking myself, like, I started running, that's made a huge difference to like exercise, like say getting out and forcing yourself out on days where it's rainy and cold and now like, I just run for fun. I run because it gives me like, a mental health break. But making sure that there is that time. Like sometimes I'll be working on a cake and I'll be working, I'm like, right, I just need to get out for 20 minutes. Like, whereas before I think I used to think, oh, if I'm going to exercise, I need to make sure I've got an hour plus to go to a gym and do that. And if I can't do that, then there's the excuse. Like, whereas now it's like, I will grab any chance to. So that's like striving for balance, I guess. But in itself is probably still quite frantic and hectic and chaotic. And I'm not achieving it in the way that I'm just really busy. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah. You are possibly the busiest person I know.
I really am here for the tips. But yeah, going back, the short answer to the question is balance was never something I thought was important until all of a sudden I went, I'm going to like fall off the train at here if I don't, and splat on the tracks if I don't try and do something else.
Yeah.
Visual.
All right. Oh.
And what about you, Zara?
So I think that balance is the largest load of bollocks we've ever been fed in our entire human history. There is no such thing. It is a bullshit self-help crap that we've been fed so that people sell books and have TV shows and podcasts. And I say that half jokingly, but I do actually believe it now. So Sarah made a really good point there, right? Where it's like, when we were younger, like we never talked about balance. And the reason we never talked about balance is because we just did. It was just do. Like if I wanted to do it, I did it. If I didn't, I didn't. If I could make that thing, I did. If I couldn't, I didn't. It wasn't the end of the world. I didn't die on the hill about a bunch of things, right? I was like, it is what it is. Sure, I worried about, weight, and I worried about health, and I worried about all those things. But like, I just did it. Like I wanted to move to London. I moved to London. I didn't really worry about what impact that would have on my mental health and would I be able to cope and all that stuff. I just did it. I just did it. Like, and I figured it out as I went along. And sure, there were tough times, like absolutely. I think the problem is when you kind of get to a certain age, and it's normally when you've got additional responsibilities. So be that, fair children, real children, elderly parents, but like your responsibility pool grows quite considerably. You've got mortgages to pay, large credit cards. There's an element of keeping up with the Joneses, and like, you know, are my kids keeping up with like everyone else, and like, have they got the right clothes on, and do they, you know, am I driving the right car, and all that bullshit. And I think this idea of balance then gets put in your head because everyone's like, you really need to find the balance. And I actually think what we need to do is let go of this idea and just enjoy it for what it is. Like, if your kids eat fucking noodles out of packet,
Don't listen to Auntie Zara.
if your kids eat noodles out of packet 5 days out of 7, who cares?
You fed them.
They're fed.
At least they're eating, yeah.
And let me tell you this much, they love you for it. Like, the amount of times that I hand Mia a peanut butter sandwich instead of vegetables, and she looks at me like I am, like, the Messiah. It's like, you've nailed it. Mom. Like, this is... I couldn't ask for
exactly what I want.
Yeah. You know, if, like, you have to say no to stuff because you can't make it, it's okay. Like, it is what it is. Like, I think for me...
Even hearing that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Saying no?
No, I'm like,
I was going to say...
I had a physical reaction to hearing you even saying that.
And I think, honestly, that's probably the thing that was my awakening, is like, no thank you. Like, you remember when we were younger and it'd be like, so-and-so's having this house party and I kind of have to go because I kind of said I would. And you kind of didn't want to go. It was never any of your parties, by the way.
Obviously.
But you were like, well, I kind of have to show my face. I don't do that anymore. Like, genuinely, if someone's like, we should hang out.
Yeah.
No.
I'm busy.
We should be friends because we happen to somewhat seem like we might be. No. And I think, like, it's not nailed. I'm out of balance all the time. But I think the thing that I'm actually starting to come to terms with is that's how it's going to be.
That's just completely normal.
I'm going to embrace the unbalanced.
I was going to say there's a, instead of FOMO, there's a really nice phrase called JOMO, which is joy of missing out.
I get JOMO. I love JOMO.
Yeah. And I get a lot more JOMO now, actually, because I just can't be bothered. Like Zara said, if there's something going on and I really don't want to do it, I just won't go, and I'll just say. And sometimes I don't even make an excuse up. A lot of the time, I do.
Literally just like I
can't make. Yeah.
Interesting. Awesome. I was going to say, Sarah, when you said you're here for the tips, my biggest tip is saying no. And I know you hate that word, but that is my biggest tip.
Crawling even is saying that.
Just say no, because you are detrimenting your own self to please someone else. Don't bother. Just don't bother.
And this is group.
You guys know what I'm like, though. There's like a natural want to like please everyone.
Nah. Just nip that in the bud.
Because if you're a people pleaser,
it's very hard to say no.
You will never say no.
Yeah.
And then I think you have to ask yourself, what do you want from them? What is it that you're getting from saying yes?
I think there's been this sort of push that like women, mothers, whatever, are like can be superheroes. And I think it's just sort of like, I know.
Can be, but don't have to be.
Yeah, but I think there is that kind of that, or at least for me, this felt like there's been that expectation that, you know, I can do it all. And in doing it all, you are joining the Parents Association, you are volunteering at the school events, if someone needs a hand, you're the one. If someone needs a lift, you're giving a lift. Like, there's, and then I remember at some points almost feeling like proud of myself that I was like exhausted, like being like, wow, look at what I achieved today. And it's mental. And it's just going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next.
And getting nothing out of it for yourself, though.
No, except for me going, yeah, I did. I superhero mum bossed that today.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit crippled from it.
I was going to say, is that worth the exhaustion, though?
I don't think so. But I think that there is. And I don't know, Felicia, if you feel like there is this, there does feel like there's an expectation that we're supposed to do it all.
Yeah. And I did it. I mean, I did the same. Like I did all of it. But then there's that if you're on the road to burnout, and this is me in my HR also capacity, by the way, because I see a lot of people going through getting burnt out at work, or I did, not a lot, there were a handful. And that's really, and I'm not saying you are going to get to that point, Sarah, but I think
definitely am.
feel yourself burning out,
Definitely am.
Nearly there.
yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
because then to recover from and I think burnout, I mean, it's exhaustion is really bad for your, obviously for your health, and then it doesn't, if you can't look after yourself, you can't look after other people, and that's
Put
the
your
reality of
oxygen mask on before you put it on others.
others. Exactly.
I
Sarah
have to
wouldn't.
remind myself that on a
Sarah
plane.
would be
I'm like,
Sarah would be
"Don't, I
going
do
around the plane, putting
Yeah.
oxygen masks on everyone,
and
knocking
dead."
on the cockpit door. Excuse me,
Yeah.
Mr. Pilot, have you put your mask on?
Yeah.
And then I would collapse, and I'd probably
Brendan,
go,
no.
you know, I did it.
I did it. I didn't survive it, but I did it. You're just your thing is not being able to say no. That is your major thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Even to like a cake when you're mega busy and you're completely booked out, and you've even like specified that you can't do any cakes until January the 4th, and then someone on like December 23rd goes, Sarah, I need a cake for tomorrow, and you don't know how to say no to that.
I think also what you said, Zara, though, is right. Like it's, and Sarah, Zara, I think there is a lot of expectation, and I think there's also, I know we hadn't touched on this, but with social media now as well, with people showing their lives and look at my life and look at my wonderful this, that, and the other, and it's, you know, it's not reality, and these people that become, I say podcasters, you know, they sell you this, the Bartletts and the Simon Sineks, and they sell you this.
Follow
like,
both of them.
yeah, I do too, but I'm sort of falling out of love, especially with Stephen Bartlett. But I think there's a real push, isn't there, to be the best you can be. Or there's another guy, Simon Squibb, I think his name is. He's like, "What's your dream? Why can't you? All you have to do is start a website and and it's your brand." And I'm like, it's not that easy, dude. Like,
I
it's really
saw one
not.
yesterday, and it was like there are, and don't quote me because I'm going to get this number wrong. There are however many, hundreds, thousands minutes in a day. Hundreds of minutes in a day. There'll be hundreds of minutes in a day when it went. You can afford to spend 60 of them, chasing your dream. And I was like, actually, I can't. I was like, I'm looking at the thing, I'm like, do I comment because this is stupid? I do not have 60 minutes.
Unless you want to lose even more
my
sleep
dream every day.
I think
just have 3 hours of sleep, not the 4.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was talking about, right? Like, I think this culture of anything is possible and strive for your dreams and you can be anything you want is actually toxic.
No, I agree with you. I think it's not helpful to be telling people, every single person, that their wildest dreams are just around the corner if they spend 60 minutes a day.
I think it's fine to dream. Yeah, I think it's fine to have a dream or a plan. I think it's fine to want something more for yourself and want to be slightly better, or maybe you do want the nicer car, or maybe you do want that and that. But I think that the problem at the moment is everyone thinks that is something they should be driving towards. Like, you should, if you don't have a BMW, you should be striving for one. If you don't have the house, the house and the this and the that, like, and I think even sometimes kids come into that, like, and I mean, Sian, it'd be interesting to hear your take on this, but like it's like, well, you haven't really got it right if you haven't got the 2.4 kids and the house and the car and the dog and the da-da-da-da-da. Like, it's this bullshit cookie cutter, like, it's supposed to look like this life. You do what makes you happy and what makes you feel like you're succeeding, as opposed to like what everyone else does. And I think when you get to our age, the problem becomes, number one, most women our age will have had some sort of career break, whether that's kids or you've taken it because you need it or whatever. And so naturally, like, you are slightly on the back foot in terms of like that career path or where you were expecting to be. And certainly if you put yourself next to your male peer group, you're almost always slightly behind where they are because you've taken that gap. Then on top of that, you're supposed to be this exceptional partner. You're supposed to be an exceptional mother. You're never supposed to question the status quo. You're never supposed to question that this is what you're supposed, all of this. And I think you just end up in this world where you've just got women like burning out, bailing out, like going to bed at night crying, not sleeping, not eating properly, or eating too much. Like, I read a statistic the other day which blew my mind that the leading cause of death in women over 40 is heart attacks. Did you know that?
That's crazy. No.
Is that stress related?
More women are dying of heart attacks over 40 today than ever because of this exact thing.
Yeah.
Screwed.
Although the amount I run, I'd like to think my cardiovascular health is
No, but I think again, like,
no, I'm stressed to death. Like,
yeah, but these are the things that they don't
Stress is
tell
a
you,
killer.
right? So they're like, you've got to exercise, you've got to eat right, you've got to find balance, you've got to find time for self-care. Self-care? I think going and peeing when I, like, at the beginning of needing to pee, if I get to pee like at that point, I'm like, self-care today, Z. Nailing it. Pat on the back. Sis.
Nailed it.
Because I didn't wait until I was literally like having pains. We've all been there, right? Like, you're literally like, I've just got this other thing I need to do. I've just got this other thing I need to do, right? None of that stops your heart from just going, I'm out. Like, I'm out. Like,
my mum's mum, my grandma, died of a heart attack when she was in her 30s, I think,
Wow.
or like early 40s. But my mum was, well, I'm not sure how old she was, but my mum was only 17, 18.
Wow.
And I think that, obviously for her, she didn't have her mum then, and obviously it's awful. And I think I do think about that, and I have a big part of why I quit my job was the fact that I was coming home unhappy, stressed, crying. Not every day, but when you know in yourself, you're like, if I do another year of this, I'll probably throw myself in front of a train.
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that. Maybe not as extreme as that, but you have those. I've had those moments of, what's the point? Like, why am I doing this? And then so to then make that leap to not be in that situation anymore, I think, I do think it was people like it's quite brave, and I was like, oh no, but actually it was. I feel like that was a brave move, and I'm still adjusting to it. But I knew that it wasn't. It was a path to self-destruction and depression, probably, and it's just not worth it. And life's too short. And I know it's so cheesy, but it's true. Like, life, you don't know when something might happen, and also the latent stress. So, like you say, like, stress is, if you can't express it externally, I think a lot of women don't, you're keeping it inside you, that impacts your health. Really. It's really detrimental. And I think that's why women are dying of heart attacks, or more women are, because they don't feel they can, or they keep it in, and then that leads to all, physical issues. So it's I think saying it, and people know, this is the thing, like, people know, but it's it's the action off the back of that, and actually taking action to make sure that you are healthy and you are happy, and not the whole self-care. I mean, I think it's just like, everyone needs space, everyone needs to rest, everyone needs to just be able to just sleep without sleeping aids and alcohol or whatever. Like, I think I think it's such a easy spiral to kind of get into.
And so it's nice now to kind of, my balance when I reflect, there's a couple of things when I reflect about whether I think I have balance now. The first is, I say no to so much stuff. And I say it politely. I'm like, no, thank you. Like, I just can't fit that in. The second thing is, I let go of so much more than I ever have in my whole life. Like, just little things, I don't need that thing. I took a pay cut for this job because I wanted the job, not the money.
Yeah.
I don't let like the stuff that I would have I would have wound myself up over and over and over again. Like, why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Mm.
I'm letting that go. I'm like, today is not the day. There's a book about, I forget the name of it, but it's basically how not to give a F. And in that book, there's this concept, which I went back and reread it actually while I was off. There's this concept of an F bucket, right? Every day you get like 5 Fs. And Fs are like the thing that you want to die on the hill over, the thing that you are happy to like go into an argument about, stress yourself out about. And then normally they're the important stuff, right? So I give a lot of Fs about my daughter's health, a lot of Fs about my parents, a lot of Fs about my brother. But once you've exhausted the 5, you don't get any more. And it's this concept of every day you've got to let go of some of the stuff that you wouldn't have let go of previously and be super conscious of it. Now, I have definitely got to days where I haven't given one. I'm literally like, oh, the bucket's still full. Because I don't care. Whatever you want. Who gives a... So, I just think, like, we need to find more of that. Like, for me, that is my new balance. Am I going to give one of my Fs to this today? Nope.
Can you send me a link to the book, please?
It's really good. It's a really easy read too. It's really easy. The guy who wrote it, he's cool. I'll actually send you a copy myself, Sarah. There you go. And you can have a good read of it. But yeah, it's just, that's my new balance. My new balance is, do you know what? Was I kind today as much as I could? The other thing is there's a guy who talks about a culture of generosity, but he doesn't talk about it like give money away. He talks about it like if you see someone and like they're wearing a really nice coat, tell them they're wearing a really nice coat. Tell a person they're pretty. Tell a person you love their lipstick. Tell them, like, why do we not say these things out loud? Like, be generous in your love of humanity. And I've really started doing that. And honestly, it makes my day. And I also made a couple of friends. And then, the F bucket. Like, I've got 5. And that's it. And if Mia goes to bed with, as she did a minute ago, a handful of chocolate buttons, that's what's happening, guys.
The priorities thing is I'm finding it more now as well. I think because I've got more time to spend with people, but spending time with my family, my parents, going on holiday with my sister and Tim and Finley. Yeah, I think quality time, like you say, like quality time with people that you care about, I think is my thing now, as much as you can. So this counts like massively too, obviously. But I think that's trying not to give as much of a shit other stuff.
So before we lose you, Sarah, you've obviously you're a self-diagnosed, unbalanced,
people pleaser. Unbalanced people pleaser.
An unbalanced, lacking balance. No, but I like what you said, Zara, sort of like resonated quite a bit of sort of like it's a bit BS. It's a bit unattainable, and maybe going forward, I'll take a lot of what you guys have said and go, okay, maybe I also shouldn't be trying to
think though, just to add to that. So my one big advice, and I have no shit, like I have none of my shit together. So I'm saying this from a place of complete unbalance. I'm just embracing it. What I would say though is I do think just going, I've only got 5 Fs in my F bucket today is not a solution. This is practice. Unfortunately, like every single day you have to wake up and remember that life's really short and that none of this is easy. But I did want to ask you before we lose you, because I know that you've got to dash off, and we can maybe just finish up once you've dashed off, because you've got small business, 3 kids, parents, brother, you've got everything going on today. So you've got a lot in the time. No, anyway, whatever.
The truck.
I think you more than anyone has probably put some or embraced some kind of more traditional balance tools. So you do your running and those sorts of things. Like, is there anything else that you found really useful as you ticked over to the big 4-0 and in just a few short months the 4-1?
Denial.
Sarah's so unimpressed.
Balance. I know I'm coming across like a car crash in this, but but there are things I do, which is, I think a lot of it is exercise. Like, I started going to a gym, to a boot camp, to a strength training class, which was taking up a new thing. I'd never done strength training before, so I had ran. So I was prioritizing running. I started going to this gym more. Walking. So this is all going to be exercise. I walk with 3 friends of mine, like once or twice a week, either after school drop off or before pickup. And we talk about 40-year-old life. And I think I'm quite good at being open, that I'm not not just I would go and advertise it to the entire world, like head case, but I am quite good that if someone asks me how you're doing, that I feel comfortable with saying, not great, like I am. So I think that that's something that I've forced myself to do more over the last sort of 10 months.
Yeah.
But exercise for me, that's been the biggest way of trying to get balance. Again, then it's not really balanced because I'm sort of like knocking something else off to fit that in. So it's maybe more about like shifting priorities, I think, and trying to put myself first, which is uncomfortable and difficult, and I am a work in progress on that part.
I think we all are.
I think there's no such thing as a finished project for anybody.
No.
Oh, there is when we're dead. Then we're genuine.
Well, yeah, but genuinely
well, yeah, and you're right. Like, I want to enjoy it while I'm here, and I do. Like, I get a lot of. I was telling you what I am doing at the moment is I'm coming home from school and I'm going in the garden with the kids, and we're playing cricket and we're playing basketball. I play a lot of basketball with Littlest or netball with Lots, and so I'm sort of. You are my Littlest, darling. I play a lot of basketball with him. And that, being outside, being in the sunshine, which is really helping, doing a bit of sport, and just kind of, I guess, in those moments, I'm not sat there with my phone, I'm not doing anything, I'm just with the kids.
Being,
and that's really nice. That makes, I'm not, I look a bit mental, but I'm not entirely.
No, I don't think you are. And I think actually the takeaway, though is, I think as you've tipped over into like this new 40 something, I think you've gone out to find like new things to add into your day to day that helps like rebalance that. This was definitely an interesting one. But thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on the socials. We're _book club at Instagram, and we're Part 2 Book Club on the TikTokers. And don't forget to check out our back catalogue. We also have a bunch of other podcasts similar to this one, and of course there is the micro podcast, which is following the Love Island 2024. But make sure to follow and subscribe, join our pages. We do a bunch of things with books as well, so it's not just midlife ramblings. But thanks again for joining us. Thanks so much, Shani.
You too, babe.
Thanks so much, Leash. Have a good day.
You too.
Love you.
Love you lots.
Love you
Bye.
guys.
See ya.
Bye.